Hi, good morning. Hi, good morning. Hi, good morning. Yep, I look like this now. Yes, I look like an angry bird. Yes, I look like Vector from Despicable Me. You name it. Name it in the comment who I look like. Do I regret it? A bit, a fair amount, but we'll see. Like, maybe I'm gonna get used to it. Hello. So today we're gonna talk about something which grew really close to me lately, which is related to human experience, and we're gonna talk about different perspectives, I guess. So recently I read a book that my girlfriend advised me. Advised? Anyways, it's called The Alchemist, and it's beautiful. So it is a book about the trip that a man makes in his life, changing completely, you know, what he believed to be true, what he believed to be comfort, and like getting to a place that he's totally uncertain about, but learning about like talking with the earth and talking with like, you know, like other beings beyond like, you know, humans, or even just other humans, but like with like different languages, different ideas, and ultimately finding their, you know, I want to say goal in life, but I think it's more like way to live their lives. Okay, so I thought about this, and this is not prepared at all, by the way, so I have no idea what I'm going to talk about in the end, and I hope it's going to be a short one. I say it in every video, but I really hope it's a short video because I want to give it to you guys today. Yes, I look like this. God damn. Anyways, nice. Anyways, so I wanted to talk to you about something that I was thinking about this whole, you know, process of like different perspectives and stuff. And I came across, oh shit, the angle is really bad actually. I'm sorry. Okay. I came across this thought of, you know, like a lot of people say like I'm colorblind, so simply like I see a color differently than you see it, and that's like considered like a condition or something. But like it always struck to me, and I have never been able to wrap my mind around this concept of like, you see a color, okay, I say like the tree is green, and you agree like the tree is green, and the books say the tree is green. But what if like somebody starts like, you see my version of blue as green, everybody calls it green, but one person, you know, sees it as I see red, the other person sees it as, you know, they see purple, like I don't know. And that's so like we can't know, you know, like whatever feels closer to that is if, I don't know, for example, you talk about a color related to an emotion. So you say, for example, I don't know, that tree is green and it reminds me of energy, and everybody agrees that green is energetic. So if somebody sees it as my version of blue, for example, they want to say, oh no, I see it as, you know, calm, not as energetic. And that might make sense why we all see the same colors, but at the same time, like we can't know, right? Like it's crazy to me. Having said that, you can apply that to everything, right? Like this is just how like we perceive things as a collective and as individuals. But for example, like I don't know, they told us throughout like our upbringing, and most of us, that for example making mistakes is bad, right? So you know that when you make a mistake you feel guilty, you feel bad, you feel scared about the consequences or whatever. But what if somebody starts seeing it as a positive thing, like as a growing thing, as the trend is right now? I think a lot of people will like call them crazy, and a lot of people will start shifting their minds in influences and whatever, and that will become reality, right? That mistakes are the new way of growing rather than the new way of feeling rather than the old way of feeling guilty and sad or whatever. I think that's really interesting to me. And also, perspective-wise, I was reading this thing, I don't remember where, I don't remember what it was, but it was really interesting to think about concepts that are not really explainable, as in the concept of big, the concept of blue, the concept of something else, tall, for example, as in, like, you can say that is big, and somebody else would say, like, compared to what? Or, I don't know, you see a rock as a kid and you think it's huge, and then you grow up and you still have this rock and it's like this, so you're like, oh, okay, it's not that big, like stuff like that. And, or for example, that person is tall. Where do you, like, trace the line between, like, you know, short and tall? I'm short, by the way, so this topic is really close to me. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, like, I was thinking about it, and it's really interesting to apply also to colors again, because, for example, you see that thing as blue, but what if it's like a gradient, like it's a color between green and blue? You know, like, if you have to change the color enough to make it green, when does it become green? And does it stop being blue? Does it make sense? Like, it's a whole concept. I know it's like very messy because I didn't prepare anything, but it's a really interesting concept to me, how, like, perspectives can change reality. And coming back again to, like, where do you trace the line of, like, a clear boundary between, you know, short and tall, big and small, I don't know, blue and green, for example. And I think the answer right now for how society works, how we work, is through popularity, through an average, I want to say. For example, like, if the average of Italian, like, where I'm from, people are 1.70 meters tall. Oh, you don't know about that. If you're watching from America, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's like 5'9", 5'8". I'm not sure at all. No, maybe less. I don't know. Anyways, you're 1 meter tall and 70 centimeters, okay? That's the average. Therefore, if you're taller than that, it's not like tall, is taller than that, you are considered tall, right? Then you go to, I don't know, Nigeria, where, like, the autochthon people that live there are like 190 as, like, average. Then you will be short even if you're 185 in Italy, you know? So it's really interesting to me to see, like, different perspective. And it made me think about also, like, how we apply it in, you know, feelings, emotions, as in, like, do we really know how to feel things? Like, sometimes it happened to me that a lot of situations that I was put in, I didn't really feel as the mainstream feeling would tell you to feel. As in, for example, I don't know, I am a very calm driver, right? So whenever, like, somebody does something wrong, I don't start yelling and get incredibly mad or whatever. I just say, oh, they did something wrong, it sucks, that's it. But a lot of times it came to my mind saying, like, okay, so I know that I should be feeling angry, therefore I'm gonna let them know. Like, in movies, people get angry when somebody drives, like, badly, and so they start yelling. I see, I don't know, my dad that yells at, like, while driving or stuff like that. I see other people, like my friends, telling me, like, oh, you should be mad, like, what did they just do, like, whatever. And I'm like, I'm not mad, but maybe I should. And this happens also, like, in so many other things. Like, for example, I don't know, I didn't really care about grades growing up in, like, in high school, for example, in middle school or whatever. I cared about, like, learning the things that I was studying when I cared about that. When I didn't, I really didn't. But, you know, like, there was some girls, like, just learning everything by heart and then just, like, repeating everything. I asked them about, like, oh, you want to talk about this and whatever, and they didn't know what to say because they didn't understand what they were talking about, but like they got great grades because they knew everything by heart. Does it make sense? And so even there, where do you trace the line between like learning and memorizing, and why is learning better? And when I received like a bad grade, but I knew that I learned something, I didn't really care. But then I came back home, and for example, my parents like were upset about that. You know, my friends were like, "Oh, you got only, I don't know, 7 out of 10." Oh, because you also have, like in America, you also have like letters, like A, B, C. It's okay. Like little kids. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, so, and then I started saying like, oh, maybe I should feel, you know, a little bit sad, a little bit upset about this. And then like, I don't know if I reached a conclusion because I just wanted to talk about this. And okay, we're already at 11 minutes. God damn. Okay, I'm gonna start like speeding up. I think the whole moral of the story that I learned from this personally is that there is no right perspective. There's just what is, you know, accepted as an average, or as the most popular reality. And this now we can see on the news, you know, like if the majority of people, I don't know, in America believe that what Trump is saying, even if it's like clearly false, is true, that becomes reality for them. You know, because the majority of people say, the media say that, you know, your friends at the bar say that, and so that becomes your reality. But what I'm saying is that, like, if you feel like, in Italian we say un pesce fuor d'acqua. It means like a fish out of the water, which I don't know if it's like a thing like in English, but it means when you don't fit in a place, basically. If you feel like that emotionally, as in, I don't know, everybody says you should be upset and you feel happy, or everybody said you should be happy and you feel upset, don't feel like you're in the wrong. You just have your own perspective, which is different from, you know, what is now socially accepted. But as you could see in the history of time, we saw that, like, for example, freedom of speech was something that was not like publicly accepted. I'm sorry. It's the hair, I swear. Accepted before. And then clearly it was a good thing that changed, right? So rather than, you know, trying to change yourself, like try to, if you feel like that makes you feel better, but rather than changing yourself or the way you perceive things or whatever, if you feel like you're living better in your own like way, of course, without hurting others, in a positive environment, I want to say, try to just like, you know, accept the fact that we're all different and we have different perspectives on things. And one more thing, don't just read or watch, even if it's harder because your algorithm will just bombard you with like, bomb you? Maybe bombard you doesn't exist. I don't know. With like your bubble of beliefs. Try to read, I don't know, watch a video about somebody that you really hate fundamentally. Try to understand their points of views. You know, that way you can actually build your own set of beliefs rather than just like following what is, you know, said in the movies, what is said on the news, what is said by your friends at the bar. And I think like that, you will be sure that you will fit in your own, you know, system and set of beliefs rather than like, oh, I don't fit with what the world sees as beliefs. Because even the world doesn't know. Like, one, the world is a rock. Okay, so Alicia doesn't know, but jokes aside, like, it doesn't know because they're gonna change tomorrow, and it is important that you build your own every day. And yeah, I think like I'm happy with the outcome. So I'll see you in the next one. Yes, we're gonna see each other with positive news with DENN. Yeah. So yeah, 15 minutes, can't I? Anyways, have a beautiful, beautiful day. Until the next one.